Hi, everybody. Welcome to Friday. And this is a brand new show of Between the Sheets podcast. I'm your host, Gaye Ann Bruno. You can like me. Well, of course you can like me. Why would you be fucking watching? You can like my Facebook page or the Between the Sheets podcast Facebook page and follow me on Instagram at QTEBrat. I changed my hair color again. I got bored, so I did some, now it's cherry apple red, or whatever they call it, candy apple. But thank you for joining us each week, and thank you for supporting us each week. We'll go on and on and on about everything that's happened this week. We're not going to go in deep detail because everyone's probably sick and tired of it. We just want a winner, and we're here to make you laugh tonight. So call in 323-524-2599. So Jenny and Deanna, make them laugh. So if you want to call in again, it's 323-524-2599. Let us hear your thoughts on what's going on in the world today. If you want to make us laugh or throw in a topic, we are here. You know, we shoot from the hip, so it goes from one thing to another to another. But before I introduce our wonderful guest, we'll go around the room, or around the screen, I should say, and introduce you to my lovely co-hosts. We have Mara Shane.
Hi. Nice to see you guys and be here. Hi.
Hi, Mara. Mara, tell everyone what your achievement is so far.
Okay, well, I've lost almost 15 pounds since July.
Wow.
Yes, that's my one achievement of the year. Thank you. Thank you.
And then we have Cara Noble.
Hello.
What have you been doing?
I have an achievement this week. I just made a table because, you know, I made a big Taj Mahal. So I haven't done this ever before. And I just literally grouted it today and cleaned it up. And so this is my...
Oh, that's pretty.
Oh.
You just did that all in one day?
I know. It took me about a week because it took me about a week to put all the pieces on and break the pieces and everything. Anyway, I don't love it, but I'm pleased with it. Well, so that's my achievement of the week.
Well, congratulations.
Very good.
What's your achievement of the week? And Jenny McNulty, what is your achievement of the week?
Well, I sat at a table and I was upright most of the time. It was really I was proud of myself. I'm just saying, you know, it took me all week, but I did it.
Good job.
And then last but not least is Cheryl Murphy.
Guys, I think my achievement of the week was just trying to get some sleep with all this energy. It's so overwhelming. I'm so happy to be here and get grounded with you ladies. So yeah, it's all good.
I mean, seriously, last night, I think I fell asleep for the first time before like 10:30. I think because I was so exhausted. And then at 1:30, I slept on the couch. And then at 1:30, I woke up and I looked at the numbers and it hadn't moved. But then Georgia was doing everything live. They were like, "Oh, we're doing more stuff live. We're going to dump." And I'm like, okay. And it still didn't, it still didn't move anything yet. And then then a friend of mine called me at 2:30 and I'm like, AM. I said, "Hello, Todd." "Hello, Todd." And he's like, "Hi." And I didn't want to say, "Why are you calling me?" He just knew. And he said, "You liked something on my Facebook page 5 minutes ago, so I knew you were up."
Multitasking.
So anyway, so we'll go on, but let's not keep our lovely, wonderful guest who is up probably past her bedtime because she's an East Coaster. It's Diana YANEZ, or Diana YANEZ, as her mother calls her, and obviously I do too, apparently. She is the creator, writer, and star of the off-Broadway hit show, Latina Christmas Special. It was in LA, as well as it played in New York off-Broadway. She also is associated with Margaret Cho. She's been off-Broadway with her too, in the Sensuous Woman show, and Cyndi Lauper and Debbie Harry. And it's so impressive. I mean, half the people she worked with, I want to sleep with. So I don't know what's going on there.
But why?
I know, Jesus, but you're married. So there we go. She also, obviously, besides being a writer, producer, director, and everything else under the sun, which is really she's an entrepreneur. She also has been on Criminal Minds, The Shield, and Boston Legal, and probably many others, but Criminal Minds I worked on. So that's why that went first. She is first generation Cuban American, because we're going to talk about any of us that are first generation here, because there's a lot of similarities in me getting to know Deanna briefly on the phone. We just made each other laugh, and I wasn't even trying to be funny. She's an artist expressing her stuff in a multitude of media. She's a passionate storyteller and a performer, and she seeks to imbue. I like that word, imbue. I'm reading right off her bio. Imbue all her pieces with universal truth.
Ooh.
So that is who the hell we had on the show. And I have to thank Jenny McNulty. I mean, not that I had never heard of Deanna, but I have to thank Jenny for introducing me to her a while back. Prior to COVID, we were at Eve Reynolds, one of Eve Reynolds' gatherings at her house, and she's wonderful, and she opens up her home to musicians and artists and comedians, and just to express creativity. So kudos to you, Eve, and Windsor Presents. But Jenny, I think I was drinking. No, matter of fact, I know I was drinking. And I'm walking out, and Jenny's like, Gaye Ann, let me introduce you to somebody. And there was Deanna, and she goes, we have to have her on the show. So, not even a year later, because it's like, what is everybody doing? Nothing. I mean, we're all trying to do things now, like Jenny and Cheryl, and everyone's trying to do whatever they can, as well as Deanna, via Zoom and internet with COVID practices. But I'm thinking, I'm just going to give her a shout out and see if she's ready to be on the show. And she said yes. So thank you, Jenny McNulty, because, and this is a legal thing, but for you, I would not know her, and she would not be here. So thank you, Jenny.
Hey, Jenny McNulty.
You are welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. And you're gonna thank me again. She's amazeballs. Amazeboobs. Sorry, amazemoves. So since we're on this old home week path, Deanna, how did you first meet Jenny McNulty?
Jenny and I met because actually I think it was a producer. Wasn't it Andrea Meyerson?
It was, yeah.
Together. She had seen me in the Sensuous Woman show when we were testing it out in Los Angeles, and they were working on a new concept for a show, which would be stand-up comedy followed by improv. And I was an improv professional at the time. I was yes-anding my whole friggin' and it's a great way to deal with stress, And they introduced us, and I said, I've never done stand-up comedy. I'd only done sketch comedy and comedy films and all sorts of things, but I'd never done stand-up. And then Jenny and I went and did a test show in Provincetown. And it was very funny because my characters were not going over well. As a sketch comedy actor, I thought, well, if I do characters and these characters do monologues, it'll be a big hit. And it was Women's Week, wasn't it, Jenny?
It was a Memorial Day weekend, Baby Dyke weekend, actually.
Yeah, the women in the audience were like,
oh no,
oh God. And I just never had an audience so tough in my whole life. And Jenny said to me by the second show, or at some point, we wrote on a napkin at a pizza place what my first set might be. And we came up with some ideas, and I walked out there, never having done stand-up before, and of course I had traveled and toured with Margaret, so I kind of had some experience. I mean, I knew what I liked in stand-up comedy, and I walked out there, and I made some jokes about Chihuahuas and lesbians and Provincetown, and they loved it. And when we did the improv afterwards, what we discovered, which is truly a great thing, is that if people get to know you as a person through stand-up, and then you do improv, they know the risk that you're taking and the leaps you're taking to be something other than who you are, and they just root for you even more. So that's how we met, and she's a lovely person, so we've become very good friends, and we've performed a lot together. We've done a lot of
they
improv
say-
together, and she's listened to a lot of stand-up from me.
No, the picture you
They
posted
say
today with the both
stay
of
in
you
the
are
moment.
adorable.
That's the best way to staying in the moment is the best way to sort of live right now, because we don't want to think about the future. We don't want to go.
Right.
But I would think that improv is about the best thing for staying in the moment, because you can't possibly think about anything else.
Oh yeah, no. Improv is actually the most exciting adult game one could ever play. You know, it's like what's a game? Charades times 100. It is because the stakes are higher, and it's ever more exciting. And there's also a lot of trust that has to develop between the performers. I keep thinking, for some reason, I keep flashing back on this, Jenny. Remember when we were doing a show in the town that went out of business? What was the name of the town? Stockton.
Stockton, yeah.
Yes, we were doing a show in Stockton. Lovely audience, wonderful people, and the improv was first line. Give us a first line of dialogue, and then give us a last line of dialogue. And the first line, I'm going to guess what it was, but you'll get the idea, was where have you been all night? And then the last line was like, there's a fire in the bathroom, or something like that. And so I knew what I was going to do right away. And Jenny gets all prepared, and she goes, where were you last night? And I go, there's a fire in the bathroom. And it gets to the end of the scene, and we laughed and laughed and laughed about it. The audience was in on the joke. It was the most amazing, I don't know, just wonderful feeling to be connected with them, and to know that they knew that we were playing.
Yes.
There's an element too of if you just go to an improv show and you sit down and like say the first couple of things that they do kind of don't go over well, then you're like, these guys aren't funny. But once they've seen your stand up and they already know you're funny, then they're like, okay, we know you know what you're doing, but you're really struggling right now, and they sort of like enjoy when you're having those kind of moments. But for the most part, and that's kind of why Andrea put us together, because Diana is just an amazing improviser, and she can do a bunch of different accents and characters, and her space work is great. Space work is like, like say you have a cup of tea and you've got this cup of tea through the whole scene. Well, for me, I always sort of get lazy and forget, and then pretty soon I just look like I have a weird arm problem. But Diana is like amazing with setting the scene and giving us history and backstory. So what I also like, coming from like an athlete, I approach everything like athletics, and Diana was always like, I want to rehearse, I want to do some games to practice, I want to warm up, and I'm like, okay, great, because for me, I like to try to be prepared. But she's a great to work with. She's so funny.
We often start off with two different accents, but then we catch accents.
Yeah.
I'll be French, she'll be British, somewhere in between. We're the same, some sort of, But it is a lot of fun, and I have to say that it's been kind of a unique blessing to work with. I mean, Jenny, we've been doing it for a while, at least 10, 12 years. We've been, somebody gives us the opportunity, and we say, yeah, we'll do improv, and we do it. The audience always loves it.
So, Deanna, getting back to sort of your history. You were born in Miami, no?
The other Cuba, yes.
The other Cuba. I was born in the other Cuba.
Right.
Yes, I was born in New Jersey. Yeah, I was born in Little Havana East. No, north.
Northeast.
I don't know. Northeast. So growing up, well, first of all, I don't want to bring up politics, but Florida was no surprise for me. But unfortunately. But
get me started on that. I'm really pissed about that. But yeah.
Well, considering that, the old school Latinos, Cubans, they're dying off. I mean, they seriously are. And they're supposedly the next generation seem to be a little bit more liberal or open-minded, so, and I know that Cubans aren't the only Latinos in Florida. I guess Venezuelans also support Trump. Mm-hmm. So I just don't understand. I guess I'll bring it out. What I don't understand. I mean, he is so discriminatory. I mean, he is. He hates everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
He has wanted to build walls for Latinos, and he's wanted to. It just amazes me how, for example, that segment of the population of society would still want to support him.
There's a lot of things going on there, and I don't want to get too serious about it because, you know, I could just go on and on. I mean, it's one of the reasons I don't live in Miami anymore, but I do have a lot of great Cuban American friends that think like us, are with us, are, you know, are on our side. But I will say this, I had this discussion with one of my relatives who is a big Trumper, and was saying that, you know, well, because, you know, we're Americans. And I said, you know, the funny thing is, you know how when you guys refer to Asian people, you always say Chinos, you know, which is Chinese. But, you know, like when I worked with Margaret Cho, it was like, oh, because you work with Latina. And I'm like, no, she's actually Korean and that's not Chinese. And she's like, oh, you know what I mean, right? And I said to this person, you know how you say Chino for all Asian people? Guess what Trump says for all Latino people? Mm-hmm. Mexican.
Yeah.
You are Mexican. And this person was like, you know, I don't look anything like a Mexican. I don't sound like a Mexican. What's the big deal? You know, and I was like, you see, to you seem like you're separate, but you're actually not. And the moment that you have a different opinion or you're not on his side, you are also a murderer and a rapist and someone that's come to this country to take other people's jobs. I mean, it is ridiculous that you would think that somehow he sees the difference between you and other immigrants. You know, the whole country is immigrants. None of us are really from here.
I'm an immigrant.
I'm the child of an immigrant, so yeah.
I'm a first generation. But it again, you know, even with this election, I thought for sure, and I granted, you know, it was just horrifying to me when the numbers started coming in, just horrifying that people still voted for him en masse and came out, and the Republicans came out more.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Interrupt, it's okay.
Well, my wife said something that I think is very true, though. She said, because I was sad about it too. I was like, what, you know, does this mean that 50% of the country basically hasn't progressed? We're still a country of homophobes and anti-immigrant racists and you know, just these pathetic people. And she said, you know, it's not really 50%. She said, it's maybe 20% because there's all these other people that are children that haven't gotten to voting age yet, that are more aware and more worldly in that sense, that don't give a shit if someone's gay or transgender, who don't care if that person is black or white or yellow, or it doesn't matter. And it gave me a lot of hope, because really what we're seeing right now is that there is a slim amount more of us than them. And we gotta root for the part of us that we're proud of. And I'm proud of Biden and Harris, I have to say. I'm very proud of them.
Me too. And isn't it the coolest thing that soon we'll be able, for the first time in our lifetimes, to actually say, Madam Vice President?
Be lovely.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
From here on up.
And it's amazing. So Deanna, getting back to you, in your humble beginnings in Miami, you were born here or you were born in Cuba?
I was born in Miami Beach. I was born at actually a predominantly Jewish hospital, Mount Sinai. Was it Mount Sinai? I want to say Mount Sinai. No, Cedar-Sinai. No, that's LA. Mount Sinai. And years later, I was working as a PA on a film, and I actually was working on this documentary, and it was a documentary about the guy who founded that hospital. And it was really exciting for me because my mother and father, who came to this country very, very young. My father was 21, my mother was 18. My father had studied in New York for a short while, so he spoke English. But my mother could, you know, she basically thought that she was never leaving Cuba. So why should she pay attention in English class? Surprise, surprise. You know, it's like, oh shit, she should have been paying attention. So they had a really scary time, and she just had the best experience at this hospital. To this day, she's always like, if we only lived closer to Mount Sinai Hospital. She just really had a good experience there.
Diana, tell the first joke we wrote in that pizza parlor was how your mother learned to speak English.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I realized that, and this is actually a true story. My mother did not speak English in my very young age, my toddler years, but I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years old. My mother was obsessed with watching All My Children. Mm-hmm. And the very first words she said to me in English, that was her school, was All My Children. Very first word she said to me in English was, that Erica is evil.
Yes.
That's awesome.
True story.
Okay, we have, actually, believe it, we have 2 callers, so let's take one caller. Ready, Tony or Kristen? Hello? Hello, hello?
Hello?
I can't hear them. Are they on still?
They should be in.
Is that a yes or a no?
They should be in now.
Oh, someone.
Hello? I hear classical music.
Oh my God, smile. Are you having a stroke?
I was going to say that might be in your brain.
Okay, Tony, I guess we would drop this one. And if we dropped you, it's because we can't hear you. So call back. But Tony, is there still another one?
Yes, we do.
Okay, let's try that one.
Right in.
Hello, welcome to Between the Sheets. Who's calling?
Come up my butt. I want it.
Oh, that kind of caller. You really do attract an interesting crowd, Deanna. So anyway, I mean, I said I wanted to hear, but I didn't want porn. So if you really have a call or a question, or you want to contribute to any of us here, 323-524-2599. So continue, Deanna. So your mother learns how to speak English from young age.
She went to the illustrious school of All My Children.
Okay.
And that's how we learned to speak our language, our illustrious language.
I think my grandmother did too. I think my grandma, but she's way older than your mom. But my grandmother, I think she started watching Edge of Night, As the World Turns.
As the World Turns. Yeah, so popular.
And another one, The Guiding Light.
Yep.
And I remember like being a kid, and my first language. I was born in Hoboken, New Jersey. Okay, so. My dad was from Italy. My mother was Italian American, but my grandmother, was my mom's mom, was don't ask. She was Italian. She lived with us. And as a child, there was no daycare, preschool. The families always watched the kids. So I remember going into preschool, and I understood English, but because I was conversing all the time with my grandmother, I was speaking Italian, I know like in Spanish you have Spanglish. So it's the Italian version of what Spanglish is. And Tanglish, yes. And it was really interesting because like I remember the kids like either making fun of me or like not understanding, but like, but I was born here. And so how was your transition? I mean, like how did you, like obviously you did all your education in grammar school and high school and middle school and stuff in Miami.
Yeah, actually, that's so funny because that actually brought up an experience for me when I was in first grade at Lakeview Elementary. I was speaking to another Spanish-speaking kid in line, and we were talking about something mundane like, do you want chocolate milk or regular milk? I like chocolate milk because it tastes great. Like one of those silly conversations you have in the first grade. And the teacher came by and she said, it's not polite to speak in another language in front of people that don't understand. And absolutely. But I didn't know I was speaking a foreign language. Mm-hmm. As far as I knew, that was how and it was in that moment that I realized, you can say things 2 different ways. Like it just came out, whatever came out. I never like went, this is Spanish or this is English. It was just And then I realized, oh yeah, that's right. It's chocolate and it's chocolate. Like I was just like, it just never occurred to me until that teacher said that to me. So it was one of those strange, eye-opening experiences that you never forget, because I never forget her saying, it is not polite to, this is a foreign language.
The best part is like, obviously, I grew up in Little Havana, Union City. I went to Holy Rosary Academy and Holy Rosary Academy High School. And it was like the Italians, a couple of like white people, and don't say what I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. And then there was Cubans. And because I was ethnic and the Cubans were ethnic and we knew a different language, we always thought that we weren't white. For the longest time, someone would say, like, even if you're filling out those those stupid forms, and they go like, or ask you, what's your nationality? I would never say Caucasian. I would say Italian. Mm-hmm. And because it's an ethnic thing. It's a feeling of like, I belong to a certain, not that I'm not white, of course I'm white, but it never really dawned on me that it was white, Italian, Cuban. It was weird because it was segmented, and I never felt that I fit in because the white girls were like the burnouts. You know what I mean? I don't do that.
I don't do that. Burnouts at your school too?
Yeah.
No, it's interesting that you would say that, because I wrote a show. So I wrote a one-woman show about growing up Cuban and queer in Miami called Viva la Evolucion. I was very lucky. It was my first show. My then girlfriend, who's now my wife, directed it, and that was a real testament. Like, if we could survive doing that show, we were meant to be together. And it was a great experience. We won the New York Fringe Festival. It was just this crazy, crazy, wonderful thing. My second show, I tried to write a show about growing up called Wait a Minute, I Thought I Was White. And I want to explain that to you, because I grew up in a bubble where basically everybody else was Cuban American as well. Our neighborhood, our schools, I went to St. James. So I also went to Catholic school. I also went to public school for a while. And I was always in this bubble. And I would watch TV and see the Donnie and Marie show and think, oh yeah, they're Cuban. They look like Cuban, they're just being polite and speaking in English because not everybody speaks Spanish. So, I figured when you turned off the TV set, they were like, oh, okay, Mari, ¿qué tú quieres comer hoy? And then, ay, Donnie, no, yo quiero café con leche. I didn't think that they were, I honestly thought they were Cuban. I thought everybody was Cuban. I thought the Flintstones were Cuban. I just didn't separate. I just thought, in front of people, you speak English, and at home, you speak Spanish.
But of course, the Flintstones were Cuban. You had Vilma.
Yeah. It was just, it sounded Cuban. He always had a big temper and a loud mouth. Sounded Cuban. So I had the kind of the opposite, where when I moved so I also lived in Europe for a while and briefly in New York, and then I moved to LA, and I was in a comedy troupe called the Gay Mafia, which was a great experience as well. Wonderful, talented people I worked with. And I was in this sketch called Gay Mariachi. And the guy who wrote it said to me, well, you're going to have to play my mom because you're the only other brown person in the troupe. And I said, brown? Me? I'm brown? And he said, yeah, brown, Hispanic, brown, Latino. And I was like, what? Honestly, I was so naive. And it was really then that I started grasping, oh yeah, wait a minute. What does color mean? What does it mean? I tried to write a show about it. It really is so complicated. It's impossible to explain. But I think that, and I dropped that show and like, yeah, this is not working out too hard. but I thought about, I think about it now, because now I really do think of myself as a color. I very much identify with being Latino, being the first generation American. And I think that, it's interesting discovering it later in life, because then you go, oh, wait a minute, I have this whole other identity that is also me. So, I go back and forth between the two worlds, very easily.
No, I loved growing up, because I learned Spanish. I was, I chose Spanish.
I know you spoke Spanish to me. I was like, what the hell? She's Cuban.
and then, but it's so funny because I was like, oh, I didn't think of it as another language. I thought, oh, it's code. It's code now. So me and my friends can speak in front of my parents and their parents and have a whole other language. But it also kind of was, I think because when you're in that high school age, it's inclusion. There's inclusion, exclusion. You want to, and everybody in that, especially in that, maybe my generation, I don't know, I hope it doesn't happen, but there's bullying and whatnot. So it was kind of like, the Cuban girls, they would sit there and go in Spanish. And I'm like, what are they talking about? They're talking about me? Like total Jersey Italian. They're talking about me? I want to know what they're talking about. And so so after a while, when I learned it and I spoke to it, it was very interesting because then I was assimilated into it. So instead of being talked about, I was part of the in group, and because the Cubans were the in group because it was the majority, and it was really interesting just as you grow up, because there are things that happened to me, and I'm sure all of you in school that who thought of it as bullying. We didn't. If we went to our parents, oh, such and such is doing it, apologize or don't do that again. But I think our generation, Maury, you're a little younger than the rest of us, but I think our generation really, because of maybe our parents, were, not born here or whatever, it's sort of our generation kind of went have battle scars. Mm-hmm. And I think we're a testament that, there doesn't have to be any, name calling, labeling, and I'm glad that our generation sort of went through the battle scars. So the next generation sort of we pass on and support the next generation who, people our age who whether they're gay, straight or whatever, have children, they're sort of, pushing that forward, not to have us go through what we went through, that it really is all one. We're all one. We all one.
Yeah.
But don't you think bullying is like, I don't know if it's a rite of passage or what have you, but whether it's your nationality or whether it's your size or whether it's your hair color or your freckles or whatever, bullying is just, seemingly what kids do. And maybe it's, and ultimately it always comes down from your own inherited experience. So, I would like to think that maybe pointing bullying out in its various different forms, whether it's your nationality or, whether you're a gay kid or a big kid or what have you, it's just, it used to be suck it up, kid, just take it. You can do that. And I think now people are realizing, no, that's not the proper behavior. But I don't know. I think it's just, I don't know if it's kids just do it naturally. I don't know. What is spiritually, Cheryl? Maybe you can give us a hint of what is that in our nature to be bullies and
identity development, right? It's about them developing their personality. But I do agree, a lot of it is passed down from parents, and it is a power thing. It's almost about developing that ego, I feel. But I think a lot of it nowadays, everyone is so sensitive right now because we're all opening up. And it's a beautiful thing, really. It's a beautiful awakening that even these young people have. They're so smart. These young people are so smart coming up now. So I have no doubt that, bullying is going to, make many transformations still. But me growing up, when I was growing up, I got picked on, but it wasn't really called bullying. Like you guys said, I think, Gaye Ann, you mentioned it was just part of it. Like, just get on with it. Or, when they pick on you, it's just part of the school, part of the education.
So what do you guys think? Is that human nature? Is it learned? Is it nature? What is it? Why?
It's not in my human nature. I've never been that type. I've always been the type that gets bullied and has to stand up for myself. So I don't find it in my human nature, but it's probably, it's in people's personalities.
Well, where does that come from? It's sort of like
I relate it all to cat. I relate it all to cats. And everything relates to cats. And
not the musical, I hope.
I was going to say.
But you know how I think the nature part is the I would think and this is a hypothesis, of course, is the natural urge to dominate, to feel safe, to feel confident by dominating. But when it goes to another extreme, because I think a little bit of dominating, as Jenny said, it is a rite of passage. I think it was Jenny that said it, maybe
Yes.
it was you, Gaye Ann, but it's a bit of rite of passage, but then it goes to another extreme. And really today, especially with the ability to be anonymous online and in social media,
so true.
It's like this poison. It's a poison that, when ingested, one wants more and more and more and more. And it's really, really, I think that's when we really have to call it out and say, okay, no, this borders on criminal, you know?
Absolutely.
And I think it's that anonymity that makes it that way.
I'm so glad I didn't grow up in times of internet, because I mean, there's just so many things you could do as bullies now online that you couldn't do, you know?
I mean, I even hate teasing. I mean, teasing, like, you know, when people sort of, they demystify, or when they say, oh, I'm not bullying, I'm teasing. It's the same freaking thing. You know, it's the same freaking thing. I mean, and especially if, like, you tell people, I don't want to be teased. I don't like to be teased, because, you know, maybe it's a trigger from my past and they continue to do it. It's like, seriously, if I am specifically asking you not to do it and you continue to do it and you're the only one laughing in the room, there's a problem. That's bullying. You know, it's just like, you know, I mean, not that I'm going to transition to rape, but, you know, it's like, if you have sex, because it is the same kind of thing. It's like, if you have sex with someone, even if you consent mutually in the beginning, at any point, if you say stop and that person continues, that's a rape. So going back, if someone's doing something that you don't like and you expressly state, I don't like it, and they're doing it, then it's whatever that crime is. But I know that was a weird transition, but you know, my mind always works in mysterious ways.
I'm with Mara though, man. Can you imagine all the melodramatic premenstrual 14-year-old shit I said? I'm like, ooh, really glad they didn't have Facebook back then.
Exactly. I guess, and I don't know. I mean, I was bullied for a while. I mean, not bullied. I was teased, bullied for a lot of things. I mean, my height was one. God knows they went to town on my name. I mean, you know, Gay, are you gay? And it was never from my kids. It was from my people, my counterparts. It was from their older brothers. You know, you gay? Are you gay? I'm like, yeah. Not really understanding what gay meant. Yeah, I'm gay. Of course I'm gay. And then them having just a riot a minute about it, laughing. I'm like, why are they laughing? I mean, I am gay, you know?
It's like that, you know, Robin Turner, the activist. She's like, one of the jokes she did way back in the 70s is like, a guy would say to her, hey, are you a lesbian? And she's like, are you the alternative?
Very funny. Yeah, I once got asked in Catholic school, I think I was in the 6th or 7th grade, they were talking about virgins. And I was like, what? And I go, I'm not a virgin, because I was thinking Virgin Mary. Like, I was thinking that meant you were special and you were going to have a child, you know. So I went, I'm not a virgin. And I remember the kid turning at me going, you're not a virgin. and it kind of went from there all across the whole thing. I was like, you know, 6th, 7th grade. And I was like, no, I'm not the Virgin Mary. I'm not like the Virgin Mary. You know, and I thought they meant without sin is what I thought. So anyway, big mess. And of course,
did your mother get called?
Poor. Poor. But yeah. No, I don't have good memories about that. But I think, you know, interestingly, I think you're right. I think it does get passed down. And a lot of it is kind of borderline personality disorder things that parents have, their issues, and then they take it out on their kids, and then their kids think that's reality, and then they just perpetuate it.
Yeah. And I think some of it is just natural, what your personality, your spirit, your soul, part of it is just in you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, granted, all through that time, I mean, we're sort of all finding our oats and trying to figure things out. So it is a game of survival. It really is a game of survival, to sort of, and even find who you are, and I'm sure a lot of us throughout our whole lives, we adapt to people, we don't adapt to people, we pull away. Really, I think for me, I have a hard time. I'm usually like a people pleaser, and I want everyone to like me. So, I'll adapt to things, even if, it's not, even if it's like I look and go, well, if it's not that big a deal, okay. But as I've gotten older now, it's like, no, this doesn't work for me. This absolutely doesn't work for me. And if someone's toxic in my life, whether it's a friend or a relationship, it's a lot easier now to sort of step away from it, because it's all about self-love, self-care. It's all about self. We're growing up, it's like you never really thought about self. It was
that's a silver lining of getting older, is you don't take any bullshit anymore. Like that is definitely it, because there's a lot of things, and I know we all can agree about getting older. It's not so much fun, but not a lot of fun. But the silver lining is I don't have to take anybody's shit anymore. I know who I am. I know what's right. I know what you mean too about saying, no, I don't agree with that. I'm not comfortable with it, and I don't need it in my life. So I think that is definitely kind of worth a lot. So when you get here, that's a great thing that is the best part about it.
Definitely a big bonus.
It's like the best line of, what is it? I can't think of the movie now. Oh, Fried Green Tomatoes, where she smashes into the girl's car and she's like, I'm older and I have more insurance.
I remember that. Hilarious.
So Deanna, how did you get on your path? How did you know you wanted to get into this line of work? I mean, because in Miami, Miami's not known to be like the entertainment capital. So how did you discover your talents, and what, and were your parents supportive?
No, they weren't supportive. They didn't mean to be unsupportive. They just were scared. I said I was a very creative child, and my mom has apologized to me. She said, when you were, grabbing the glue and cutting things and taping things together and all that stuff, and I kept thinking you were just making a mess. I hiding things. She goes, I didn't realize you were an artist. It never occurred to her that maybe I had a spark of creativity. But at least she realizes that now, which is really nice.
Were your parents not creative? You don't come from that kind of a background?
No, I think they may have been, but it was all kind of destroyed by the Cuban Revolution, because, they were teenagers during that time, and they had this really, I don't want to go into a big history lesson, but there's this really awful authoritarian dictator, Batista, who strangely, if you line up the things that he like to do, match a certain someone in our lives right now. Mm-hmm. They were young, and they thought, okay, we're gonna change the world. We're gonna make it a lot better. And they brought into power Fidel Castro, and Fidel Castro basically ripped their country apart, ripped it from them, ripped it away from them. So their trauma was, we've got to survive this. They literally, my mother knew the neighbor's daughter had been dating someone in the government. So she saw soldiers pull up to the house next door and drag this 16, 17-year-old girl out of the house, never to be seen again. So my parents were concerned about surviving.
Yeah, that doesn't leave room for creativity and free spiritness.
No. So when they came to this country, it was about getting an education, getting a job, and putting steak in front of us almost every single night for dinner. Like, they were like successful because their kids were going to school and they could put steak in front of us. And, it's an interesting thing. So what they wanted most of all was security. And so when I said, I want to be an artist, I want to be an actor or a writer or a director or a painter or, everything creative, they were scared. And so they really tried to discourage me. And lucky for me, and it's strange how destiny works out, I was in community college because I couldn't decide on what I wanted to do. I wanted to go to film school. My parents wanted me to become an accountant. So I took a class in German because it was important to have, at the time, there was like, learn a foreign language, another foreign language. It'll always help you. So I picked German because it was the opposite of Cuban. Like that was my whole thing, was I wanted the opposite of what I was in because I felt so trapped. And the German teacher there, who when I think back on it, I think maybe she was a lesbian and maybe she saw a little connection there. And she told me that there was a scholarship that that it was available, that you could go to Germany for a year and study and also do an internship. And she said, and this was the part that kept echoing in my mind, and you can study anything you want, anything you want, anything you want, anything you want. And so I went for it. And at the time I had always been a photographer, I always had cameras. And I submitted my portfolio, and the portfolio led to me applying for this scholarship, and I got the scholarship, and I was able to go to Berlin. And in Berlin, I was put with an exchange family. It was, if you were to put the picture of my exchange family and my real family, it was like, this was the German version of my Cuban family. Like, it was incredible, the resemblance. And later on, I found out that they had a child that would have been my age that died as a baby. Oh. So for them, I was filling a certain hole. Mm-hmm. And for me, they gave me art and appreciation of theater. And they were just, my parents, they didn't do those things. All they wanted to do was survive and make sure their kids were okay. Mm-hmm. This family was kind of what I needed at the exact right time when I needed it. So I spent 2 years in Germany. I learned to speak German fluently. I became a DJ. I started working in the film industry, and it changed my life forever, and when I came back and my parents saw that I could speak German and that I had these skills, they've slowly come around to it. And they know that I have a show called Latina Christmas Special, but I'm going to tell you something. I think they're afraid to see it because they know. And it's true. All of my comedy and all of my stories have to do with personal experience. So they know that they're in it. They're scared. They're so scared to see what I talk about. But the funny thing is that, yes, there's some fun in it. I'm telling, what makes people human is their charms, their flaws. But in the end, they've always been the heroes. So it's funny that they're so afraid to see what it is. But in reality, they're the heroes. They really did do a very brave thing. And everything I have is the result of them, taking that chance and coming to this.
Do they know that? Did you tell them? I'm sure you told them that, right?
Oh, yeah, I have, but they're still terrified. One of these days. I mean, I always imagine when my mom is going through the internet going, Diana, like looking up and probably has seen my jokes about butts and things. And, but I don't know. I don't know. They're, as I said, they've been through a big trauma, so I don't blame them. And I love them anyway.
Are you still in
a big family?
I'm sorry?
Go ahead, Cheryl.
I was just going to say, are you still in touch with your Berlin family?
I am, and I still speak with them. And even though it's, I haven't been in Germany, I did go back for a visit with my wife, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years ago to see them. But it's really far away. And there's not like a lot of Germans walking around. All of them speak perfect English anyway. Mm-hmm. But it really stuck with me. Your brain is most open to foreign languages between 5 and 7, and between 19 and 21. And I lived there from 19 to 21. So I still speak German. It definitely suffers though.
It's useless.
A long time. Huh? What?
It's pretty useless, honestly, isn't it?
Well, because so many Germans speak English, but my German parents, they don't speak English well. So I enjoy talking to them.
speak
Sorry?
fabulous English. Germans speak fabulous English. So do Greeks.
Oh yeah, they're really good. I
Oh, my
mean,
God.
shockingly good.
Yeah.
And when she said, she just mentioned that casually that she was a DJ there, Diana is an amazing DJ. She has really, really good musical taste and can.
Oh shit! I wish I had the energy to stay out all night and be a DJ.
But you did back then, right? So
Well,
you did back in the day. I bet you pulled a lot of all-nighters.
Oh yeah, no, it was the 80s. And you know, I one of the clubs I DJ'd at, had a 2-story dragon that I had to take a ladder to get on top of, and then there was like 3 turntables, and I was very young, 19, 20 years old. You know, they don't have a drinking age limit there, and so they love to hear me speak German with my Cuban American accent. So I said, "Ja, wir tanzen zu Michael Jackson," and they would be like, they loved it, you know. And then one time I had too much to drink. There's 3 turntables. I forgot which one was on. So I lift up the needle. Everybody's dancing. The whole club is full of people dancing. I lift up the needle and all of the music stops. All of the music. Everybody stops. And I go, oh my God. I drop the needle. The needle goes boom, boom, boom. And then the song continues and everybody goes, yeah. I did it on purpose. I was like, all right.
No, I mean, like I said, I love Diana because we have such parallel. I mean, literally, we have such parallel lives. I'm like the Italian version of the Cuban version, except I went abroad I lived in London for a year and a half. And it's because I didn't want to go to Spain and I didn't want to go to Italy, and I knew I wanted to party, but I also knew I had to go to school. So I'm thinking, shit, if I have to learn something in a foreign language, I'm going to totally screw up. So I picked England because it was pretty easy. I mean, I understood what the hell they were saying, but that was the 80s too. And I did not DJ. I DJ'd later when I moved to California, but I was a bartender. I had no idea what I was doing. But I was the novelty of the American bartender who probably shouldn't have been working because I didn't have a green card or anything. So I would get paid all in cash and stuff. But shit, we're talking like Coyote Ugly bartender, dancing on the bars and shit.
Where was that then?
What?
Where was it?
Okay. Oh shit. Not Maxwell. Was it Maxwell's?
It was that great, ladies and gentlemen.
It was in Piccadilly. It's not there anymore. It was a tiny little bar, and it was a bar because obviously I couldn't go somewhere like legitimate because then I'm sure they'd want me to pay taxes and shit. So it was this tiny little bar, and I was young. I mean, I was like young and thinner and drunk. So young, thinner, and drunk.
It is amazing how almost like the universe takes care of you during that time, because just like that dropping the needle thing, I did so many things that truly when you thinking about it now, if I was looking at my daughter, I'd be terrified. the sort of things I did, the chances that people I met that I went out with, without even knowing anything about them and all that stuff. But something about that time in your life, it was a great time. The 80s, baby,
were amazing. I mean, I remember even before I went to Europe, I mean, I started, and everyone knows this story, I was like going to clubs since I was 13 years old in the city. And we used to walk and talk, and people would say, you meet somebody, oh, we're going to the next club, let's share a cab. I mean, you're not thinking murderer, rapist, you're not. You're just like, okay, let's do it. And, and of course, I never told my parents that I was doing this. I was always at my friend's house over a sleepover. But when you think about your past, and I'm sure all of us have had some sort of past when we're youthful and go, God, it could have been a really ugly thing, the ugly things that could have happened. But I think for some reason, I think the 80s were cool.
I think one of the saddest things about the 21st century is that hitchhiking will never happen again. And that was such fun. Did anybody hitchhike? Because it really was a fun thing to do.
No, I thought that was dangerous as shit.
I never
appreciate you being able to have enjoyed it.
I've never done it. picked up one hitchhiker, and I was in Ann Arbor. I was going to school there at the time, and there was a woman, and she was, I don't know, maybe in her 30s or so, and she was on the side of the road. I was like just on the edge of campus, and I'm like, all right, I can give her a ride. And so I pulled over, and she's like, do you mind if I bring my son? I've got my son here, who was like a 18, 19-year-old. And like you were saying, Gaye Ann, you're like, oh, I don't want to say no and disappoint. So yes, I said, yeah, but I'm like, okay, I should have said no, because why did you hide him? Other than I probably wouldn't have stopped had it been she and him. So never doing it again. Never done it personally.
No, I mean, like I said, for doing a lot of shit when I was younger, like that freaked me out. I don't know why. It could have been those after school specials. I don't know.
That was it.
Those after school, ABC after school specials. But I mean, but even going to concerts, and they used to like pass around the pot. I mean, these are people you don't know, and they're passing around the joint down the thing, and you're just taking a hit. And it's like, now it revolts me to even think I did that. It's like, oh my God, that was so disgusting. Who the fuck were these people? Like, it was their spit, shit like that. But I figured it had to build up my immune system. So, either way.
COVID has really fucked up passing joints around. I'm just going to say.
Yes.
COVID has fucked up a lot, but, fucked up a lot. It screwed up my social life completely. I mean, I go on dating sites, and it's like, I'm on every single one of them. Hinge. Well, all of them. I mean, I know all of them, but I'm on it, and it's like, now it's become a sport. Like before, you'd go to a club or you'd go to a friend's house, and you'd see these women and go, nah, or yeah. Now it's like a sport. It's like, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, for at least half an hour to go through all of them. And, and I'm thinking, and I don't even pay. So that's what even makes it more of a sport, is I don't care if they're responding to me. It's like, nope. And then the ones that come up as a match are people that I know. And I wouldn't even date them like in real life. Forget about like asking them to date on a freaking dating app, Weird.
I don't know how you guys are I wouldn't be able to date right now. I'm not dating in the COVID times. I know a lot of people that go out on dates and they just use the masks and whatever, but I can't.
I date.
Scary.
I totally agree with you, Mara, but I got to say the way you said that was hilarious. The COVID times.
What?
I just don't know about the COVID times.
The COVID times. Yes. The COVID era.
I'm still impressed that Kara did hitchhiking. That's still, I'm still there. I'm still like,
Kara is
wow.
the most craziest woman ever. So
ever. Kara.
Well, I lived in LA in 1974. I was 17 or 18 or 19 when I was young. And I was.
Come on, 7, 8. Come on.
and there were the buses were not running for some reason, whatever. I had to hitch down Kirkwood and get to my job, which was in a radio recording studio. And so I hitched every day, and almost every time it was absolutely fine. There was one guy leaned over and grabbed my tip. It was like, stop the car, please.
So none of the scenes from what's the name of that movie? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Okay, just making sure.
Well, yes, a little like that. I mean, it was like that then.
Uh-huh.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, no, I actually kind of vaguely remember that, but I never took that chance. I mean, I'm telling you, my mom filled me with all sorts of horror stories of things that happen to little girls that trust people, that trust anyone, even the doctor, So
I mean, my parents did so too, but I was always out to prove them wrong. I always tested. I mean, not that I did anything bad, but it's like if my mother said, "Don't do that," I was always the kid that did it, and then went, "See, I told you." And then I got in trouble for doing it to start with. I'm like, but it's not about that I did it. Look, the outcome wasn't what you predicted. I was always born to be a lawyer. But Cheryl's been awfully quiet. And
I was going to say, I was the one that had the car, at a young age. So I didn't pick up hitchhikers, but I took all my friends, wherever they wanted to go. So, I mean, I was the one doing all the driving, I guess, back then, but I would not pick up a hitchhiker, just to let you know. I would shy away from that.
Things are different now. Yeah, times are different.
No, I'm not like scared of things now, but what I took chances on back in the day, I wouldn't take chances on now because it's a different world. It's a different place. I mean, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of odd people now. And maybe they were odd then, but we didn't have the media, and we didn't have the social media, and we didn't have all of this other stuff that sort of brought to light things. Because I mean, like, if someone died or someone got killed, you'd watch it on the evening news, maybe twice. It would be on maybe the morning news, evening news, afternoon news, or when you read the paper and you read it. But other than that, we were all in a bubble. There was, I'm sure, a lot more crap going on that we had no clue, that if we did, we'd probably have more wherewithal not to have done what we have done. But
part of it is also youth. I think you're just only aware of what means anything to you. And that might be that, Biffy bought some new jeans or something like that, as opposed to, what's really happening out there. That's why I'm actually my brother said something the other day. By the way, my brother was a rebel. He's the one who did everything that he wasn't supposed to do. I waited till I was in my 20s and then I went wild. But my brother was pointing out, he was talking about, he teaches school at a medical school. He's a physical therapist and he teaches physical therapy. And he was telling me about how he's really scared for the world. Some of his students that are in his class, some of the stuff that they did. He gave me a great example. He said, I told the kid in the test, they tell him a physical thing. They said, you're dealing with an amputee and they're having this sort of pain. So what would you do to alleviate this amputee's pain, a below the knee pain? And the kid goes, well, I would stretch the calves and manipulate the ankle, something like that. And my brother goes, listen to my question. An amputee below the knee is complaining of pain. What would you do? And the kid thinks about it and goes, I would stretch the calf and manipulate the foot. And my brother was like, I can't send these, I'm scared for the world for these people. But then we got on the topic of millennials, and there's something to be said for them. They're out there, they're voting, they're making a difference. And I have a lot of respect for them. We have to just remember, and when we were their age, we also had a lot of distractions. For me, it was Duran Duran, but
for me, it was Bon Jovi and Guns N' Roses.
Yeah. I was Duran Duran, The Police.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was a little darker. I was Susie and the Banshees, The Cure.
Yeah.
I was
my brother liked those too. You and my brother, we get along.
It's always been Cher for me.
And who said that? Jenny?
Yes. Jenny's a big Cher fan, don't you know?
That's fine.
Cher's good. Cher actually was good. Let's not beat up Cher. Cher's a good.
Oh, no way. Cher was the coolest.
Cher was
no one's
cool.
beating up Cher. She doesn't age.
You can't beat up Cher. Cher's the best in the world, right there. You have to, wait, Cher? Hello, Donald Trump is an asshole.
Hey, her face is pretty good. Let me see that.
Very good.
It's pretty good. You know what? She's missing a couple of shoes, and one set of eyelashes, and I don't know how that stain got there on her dress. But other than that, she's been to a lot. We've been through a lot, haven't we, Cher? Yeah.
Can we see
long
her
have you
face?
had that?
Can we see her little face?
Yeah, her hair's in the way.
It's pretty good. I was just hearing about the show.
It really does look like her because her nose is
Oh my goodness.
longer. Yeah.
You know, she's only got one eyelash, only one set of eyelashes, though.
That looks like a one night stand.
Yeah, exactly.
Walk of shame.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry,
How long have
Oh, Cher, they didn't mean it. They didn't mean it, Cher.
No, the new Cher doll in the Walk of Shame outfit.
What other dolls do you have, Jenny?
Well, I've got. Oh, you'll like Froggy. You'll like Froggy. Hang on, because we're using green screens. Froggy's not really there. There's his hands and his face, but the rest of him's green, so you don't see him. Sorry, Froggy.
Who was your favorite angel on Charlie's Angels?
Are you
Me?
asking the lesbians or the straight women?
Everybody, because they weren't lesbians.
I'm all inclusive, honey. Everybody.
Okay.
Didn't
Farrah,
everybody have a
well-
favorite angel?
Chris and Jill Monroe for me, just saying.
Jacqueline Smith.
I would have to say Jacqueline Smith. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
a hard
Farrah
one.
Fawcett won too.
Yeah, Farrah Fawcett was Chris, and then Cheryl Ladd was Jill. No, yeah, Jill and Chris. I don't remember.
No,
Farrah
Fawcett was Jill, and
then Chris was Diana Ladd.
No, Cheryl Ladd.
Cheryl Ladd.
Cheryl Ladd, yes.
For
Well,
me, I loved Kate Jackson. I loved the smart one, Sabrina.
All right.
Oh, really? Well, I've worked with every single one. Every single one. Even Tawny Roberts, was that her name? The last Brown.
Okay, well, don't tell me. I
Cheryl
know
Hack should
crazy
be
as fuck.
discluded. I'm sorry, we can't talk about Cheryl
Shelley
Hack.
Hack, yeah, she had
Shelley Hack. See,
Yeah, Shelley Hack. Yeah, but that they all were very lovely.
Oh,
All
good.
were
I thought you were
very
going to say they're crazy as shit.
No, well,
You know,
there's
and I wouldn't be surprised.
one of them actually was crazy as shit. But she did what I needed her to do photographically, but she was very difficult.
I bet you that was Sabrina.
What was that one?
Kate Jackson.
Yeah,
Kate
you're
Jackson was Sabrina.
I
ding,
know,
ding, ding.
because
You are
strangely,
right.
I had a crush on her as a child, but as an adult, I know she's batshit crazy. So
Yeah. But I mean,
Sorry.
she was fine, but it's true. I mean, you think she's watching? Think not. But Jacqueline
you
Smith.
call me.
We said hi. But no, Jacqueline Smith was probably I thought the nicest. And then Farrah Fawcett I worked with, and I have to say I did her last TV thing before she passed.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because she was so sweet and so fragile and such a tortured soul. And it was really sad. It was just really, really, really sad. But she was sweet, and it was shocking that she passed. It was just weird.
Yeah.
But
Right after that, yeah.
And
Right.
she died on the same day as Michael Jackson, so it's kind of like she never really got her big fanfare
No,
or
not
anything.
even in death.
ever. It was like, and then how
I
long?
didn't realize that.
I
That's
didn't the same
terrible.
exact day because I think she died. Would she die first or did
Yeah.
Jackson? She died first, and then that made
I
the
think.
news. And then I think Jackson died, and then people were like, "Farrah who?" So
Yeah. I have her birthday.
You do?
Yes, February 2nd. It's
Oh.
Christy Brinkley. I share with Christy Brinkley and Farrah Fawcett.
All
Well,
right.
obviously, a lot of beautiful people were born that day.
yeah,
Thank you.
Mara's Angels.
Mara's Angel.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
There we go. So, I mean, they redid the Angels. I mean, who do they have again? Like Cameron Diaz. Oh, yes, Cameron Diaz.
Drew Barrymore.
Barrymore
And Lucy Liu.
I like Drew Barrymore from that batch.
Yes. Oh,
I liked
Cameron
all of
was-
them, and I thought Bill Murray was a good Charlie too. But
Yeah.
He was funny. He's always funny.
I
You know,
told you
Cameron
Deanna,
Diaz-
there is absolutely no linear anything to this show.
As we have just proven.
So considering that there's not linear, let's put it back on track. What have you been doing during COVID? Have you been creative and artistic? What have you been doing?
I assume you're speaking to me because I got
Yes.
lost.
Yes,
Okay. Well, it's been interesting. If I may mention my wife again,
yay! Tell her about the
Marjorie
premiere.
Duffield. She's here actually. You want to say?
Yeah,
say?
show and tell.
Oh no, she's fallen asleep.
Um,
Oh well. Anyway, she really is dead asleep right now. She can't even hear me. She wrote the lyrics to all the songs on the movie Over the Moon, so which is on Netflix, and it's been doing really well.
It's a beautiful movie. I saw it the other
You
day.
saw it?
Oh,
Oh, good.
it's a beautiful movie. Watch it. It's a really heartwarming, feel-good movie.
Yeah, and the
Wonderful,
songs are great
wonderful,
too.
wonderful.
I'm so glad that it wasn't because everybody has someone that's an artist in their life. And, you know, sometimes they bring stuff in and you go, oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's nice. And you're trying, you know, I don't have to do that. Thank God the songs are really great. So anyway, regarding COVID, we have been experiencing this, our first big project that's done really well and is well funded, and we're hoping for really great things to come out of it. And we are stuck at home. So what we've done is we had a socially responsible, socially distant red carpet party at our friend's house, and they bought a step and repeat. And Jenny was invited. She came in with a mask, and she took off her mask for her red carpet photos. And we screened the movie outside. And I have to say that in the end, when we talked about all the wonderful people we had there that we love so much, we realized, wow, this probably was better than any Netflix opening night shindig with executives and all that stuff, because it was only people we loved. And it was just a really lovely experience. But it's been a lot of that, at least lately, because the movie was coming out and all that stuff. I have, I'm working on Latina Christmas special. We had all these bookings in New York and in LA, and of course COVID, so no shows. So we're doing two things. We're doing a special, which will be hosted by your friend Sharon Gless, about where we're going to talk about the process of how we came up with the show and how it all came together. And we're going to do that. I don't have an exact date right now, but if you're interested, go to latinachristmasspecial.com and sign up for our newsletter, because we're going to do a live show where we answer people's questions and all that stuff. And it'll be a great opportunity to celebrate Christmas and drink tequila and hear funny stories. And I'm in that show with Sandra Valls, who I don't know if you know, and Maria Russell. That's that thing. And then I'm also producing an album, because we had a show in New York that was amazing. And I thought, I'm going to film the show because I have no archival footage of this. I'm going to film the show. I'm going to pick a night that there's nobody there. It was like after Christmas, a Wednesday night. I call the theater. They say, oh, we've got 50 tickets sold. I go, perfect. I'm going to get a shitty camera, set up some mics. We'll just film the show, right? 2 hours later, I get to the theater. We're sold out. We're oversold.
Oh, wow.
So it was like 175 seats were sold out, and there's no place to put the camera. We filmed it. It literally looks like the Beatles in Hamburg. It's like a cave. And we're at the end, right? And you see everybody else. It's terrible. But I had these really great microphones, and that audio actually is now the basis. And I'm working on producing an album, which will then go out nationally. One of our problems is we can't split ourselves up into, multiple people. We can't do the show in Chicago. There's only so much Christmas. Thanksgiving to maybe the weekend in the first weekend in January, Three Kings Day. That's it. So we can't do Chicago, Miami, Texas. We got to pick our cities. So what I like about this idea is that then if you want to hear the audio of the show, which works as well, you just, pop it in your cassette deck, your 8-track player, your CD, on your way to grandma's house, or that trip from Miami to Orlando to see your aunt and uncles, and you do the Christmas thing, because it's a really universal story. It's about what it is to be American, to ride the border between the culture of your parents and the culture of your country, and the understanding that in reality, to relate to one another, all we need is to have had parents. So it really does apply to everyone. I've had Chinese American people come to the show, Jewish American people come to the show, and they go, wow, I had no idea my family was so Latino. Because it's not a Latino story. It's an American story. And so that's probably what I've been working on the most. That and drawing and taking pictures, but that's it.
Well, I'm crazy about Christmas, right? And since there's nothing much else to do, I'm putting my tree up next Thursday. And I
Are you really?
Oh, yeah.
Girl.
I am.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I'm super excited about it. And to tell you the truth, I was working on the album and I was like, shit, I should have thought of this sooner. This really works. I mean, it's really great. And I don't have to worry about losing weight or putting on makeup or getting tighter pants for it. It's great.
You know, yours sounds like such a breath of fresh air compared to the Hallmark movies I'm watching every night that are so cookie cutter, white bread, girl meets boy. I mean, they actually are putting Black people in. There's one Black person meets a white woman, and they've actually
not
Yes.
anymore.
I was surprised.
Wow, they've really come to terms with what the hell going on in the world.
Yes, but I'm waiting for the gay couples, which so far I don't think that will ever happen.
Don't say ever. It'll happen.
Sure.
Mark, although I've been seeing a lot of cool commercials for gays. Like my friend forwarded me one. I think it was Nestle, maybe, that was a girl who brings her girlfriend over for the holidays.
Oh, I saw that. Oh, that was for Oreo. It was for Oreo cookies.
That's right. And the father is
yeah.
extremely uncomfortable. You know, very
That was
uncomfortable.
beautiful.
Mm-hmm. I wish that my situation had ended the way that commercial had, where the dad ends up, you know, getting on the bandwagon and he's Mr. Supportive, but it doesn't always work that way. And so for me, it kind of was like, I don't know, it just was sad. But I'm glad that they're doing positive commercials like that.
Well, I was looking at yesterday, between MSNBC and CNN, I thought, because I mean, they kept repeating the same thing and they're pretty much on our side. So I said, let me tune into Fox. Let's see what those jerks are.
You are brave.
And, you know, I have to say, because this was after when Nimrod spoke yesterday.
Yeah.
And talking about more bullshit and just retarded. And I know that's not politically correct, but please let it stand with this guy because he's every non-correctness. And the people on Fox were actually not on his bandwagon. They weren't saying he was wrong, but they weren't jumping on board as they always do, saying, oh, what wonderful speech. It was like they were a little embarrassed. And it was interesting. And then what caught my guard the next was there was a commercial on about some pet adoption. And then it was like 2 lesbians, 2 gay men kissing. And I'm like, wait, Fox allowed this to be shown on their network? What is going on?
That's great.
Yeah, but it was really interesting. I mean, I just hope, you know, I mean, I know Biden will do good or well or whatever. I'm not even speaking English anymore. But I know that this country will rise again. And it really is so, I don't know, so wonderful right now to see that as the not absentee ballots and the written ballots are coming in, that it is actually not what I thought. That, as you said earlier in the show, Deanna, that there are people like us out there. You know, they are. And, you know, and it's going to show that as Biden becomes president, and he is.
I have to say also in defense of, I don't know if it's really in defense of, but I feel like one thing that we all kind of have to come to realize, and this is them as well as us, unfortunately, this toxic marriage between the two of us, you know, those of us on the left, those of us on the right, whether it's extreme or not, we're not able to say, okay, you move out, you get out of here, fucker, get out of here. They can't say that to us, and we can't say that to them. So basically we're in this like Catholic marriage. We can't get divorced. Right. And so we've got to find a way to somehow talk to some level where we can just kind of get out of each other's way. If this is the night that you get to use the kitchen, then use the kitchen. I'm going to stay in my room and watch TV. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there has to be some sort of effort from both sides. And I want to say also that I'm going to say that there's a percentage real shitty percentage that are real asshole, racist, homophobes, anti-equality, anti-Semitic dicks, okay? But then there's some people that have just been misled.
Yeah.
And if we can just somehow let them see who we are. That's one of the things I love about being out, is that meet me, talk to me. I'm not gonna sell you on gay.
I'm not gonna turn you.
I'm not gonna turn you, I'm not gonna sell you on it. You don't have to buy into it, but meet me.
Yeah.
And then you judge for yourself, you know?
Yeah, hopefully Biden can bring a fresh, more loving presence to the universe.
I mean, the thing
seems like he'll be respectful. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with Trump is he's all of the above himself. And he just, I guess during his tenure, he just made it okay, you know, to be that. And where I think everybody sort of was trying to play as much as they can in the playground. And he just flipped it, going, no, if you are this, and that, you want to hate, just do it. It's okay. I support you. And I would hope that when the Biden swing, that we could still come back. We're going to agree to disagree on a lot of things, but maybe we can just come back to center where we can play in the same playground together.
Yeah, there's a percentage. It's just, it's not gonna happen. They're just kind of gone. They're insane. And you can't talk to that.
But they've always been there, and he let Pandora out of the box, and they will continue to be there. But it's the others that, you know, I mean, look, we're all not, there's a certain segment that are just not good people, whether they're Republican or Democrat or progressive.
True. Extreme
good
people. Exactly. That's what I always tell my mother, because my mother is always like the opposite of me, is, you know, she'll always go for it. And this is what I tell her: extremes, fanaticism. Whenever you have fanaticism or extremes, there's a problem there, because that, in order to be civilized, you have to, by definition, be balanced.
Exactly.
You know? So
hopefully, you know, I pray, and I say pray, even though I'm not, like, I'm Catholic-ish. But I'm Catholic-ish, but I do pray that, you know, when Biden and Kamala come into office, that, you know, people after the first, you know, I guess speed bumps, because some people are going to be really pissed or whatever, that maybe once they get their head out of their ass, that we can all sort of work together, you know, and strive for peace, not about, you know, Democrat, Republican, you know, let's screw the ladies over with Roe versus Wade and all that other shit. Let's just, you know, maybe try and work together, you know. And I know that it seems to me that I think Democrats, when they're in charge, they have that mindset of, hey, let's try and work together. I do believe that. And maybe it's because I'm a Democrat and I see it. If I was Republican, I don't know. But I think that the Democrats do come in and sort of go, okay, you know, let's try and have a balance back. Because being too liberal too can be a little extreme as well.
True. Extremism is a problem. Fanaticism is a problem.
I think the cool thing is, like, we're seeing, like, Stacey Abrams, cannot be enough said about that woman. If Georgia flips, and he may not need Georgia, it may get Pennsylvania and Arizona, Nevada, and all the other things, but the fact that Georgia flipped, if it flips, and the fact that Texas came this close to flipping, and it was all with the metropolitan areas of people that are working together, people that are learning how to do this, you know, in a collective way. We're all different people. I mean, as again with sports, for me, it's like, if it's a team I don't really care, and the Falcons are playing, I'm like, yeah, but it's a bunch of people down in Georgia. But now I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be for the Falcons, because those people in Georgia, those Atlanta Falcons fans, they helped, you know, push us over the edge. But those are the kind of, like, things that I think we need to look at, is like where you get bigger metropolitan areas, which are, you know, I don't want to say, in general, more educated people, more people that are looking to including things like the environment and other nations and other surroundings, as opposed to just, you know, it's a global economy, it's a global everything right now. And to think that we could just be here in America and it's America first and America, you know, fuck them. That attitude is not going to help anybody, much less the whole planet. So I don't know. I'm telling you, those Lagunitas Maximus are kicking in, y'all. I'm just saying.
Well, the Supreme Court is a big worry.
But what part?
In the Supreme Court is a horrible worry.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. Oh, we're not over. We're over a little bit of the hump. So I mean, but and there's going to be a lot of hey, look, we got to dig out of 4 years of shit. So by the way, people, if you expect Biden to come in and change everything overnight, that's not the way it works. And I'll let you know with the Supreme Court and all this other stuff, they're going to try and do it, but it's going to be harder. So don't give up faith. Don't give up hope. 3 years from now, don't go, let's get Biden the fuck out of office. It's not. It's time, and it's being supportive and doing what we can. And, I think this country, on a basis is all of us, rich, poor, whatever, skin color, whatever diversity. We just want our voices to be heard. And I think once our voices are heard and people can actually understand the disenfranchised and where we're going, and they actually genuinely want to help and show an effort in reaching out, I think we can come together. So, just look at that in life. I mean, everything, as Deanna said, is a balance. Everything.
And if I may just pump up my pal's show again, that's what I really loved about Latina Christmas Special is it's Diana's Christmas experience, Sandra Val's Christmas experience, and Maria Russell's Christmas experience. And I couldn't be farther from Maria's experience, but damn, I totally related to Sandra's, where she gets, all these girly presents for Christmas. And I'm like, I don't want the girly presents. I want the tomboy stuff. So it's like, it's such a cool show. And it's really, it really encompasses everything we're talking about right now. It's just like, all of our collective experiences are supposedly what makes our country great, right? This melting pot, this great experiment of we can all get along. That's.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that, Jenny, because I think that is truly why I love storytelling so much. I mean, and maybe this is why I struggle sometimes as a stand-up comedian, because I want to tell the whole story. I don't want to just talk about the funny parts. Mm-hmm. But what I love about storytelling is that by telling our stories, we all see each other's humanity more clearly. And that's one of the reasons I think you'll find, and you'll see this also on the maps that they're showing on the news, is that for some reason, the metropolitan areas, the cities, often are more democratic. And I think that's because in touch, upfront, diversity, wealth, poor, middle class, immigrants, being exposed to people and getting to know them.
Meeting the cultures in the big city.
Yes, this is what leads to this mindset that it's not about my tribe versus your tribe. It's about this planet. We're earthlings, we're humans, And I think that that's the main reason I'm so passionate about storytelling, is that I feel like it really makes a difference in the world if we just got to know each other better.
Exactly.
I like that.
And on that note, I want to thank you so much, Diana, for joining us, for giving your pearls of wisdom.
Thank you.
I mean, you are, I love that you can just shoot from the hip with us and just follow our roller coaster. But well, sometimes we make sense and sometimes we don't, but we'll have a good time. It doesn't matter. It's a place for us to meet. So where can people find you? Where can people find out when the special's coming out and when the album's coming out?
What I've noticed is that Instagram sure does work well for this stuff. So look me up on Instagram at Diana YANEZ Show. Diana YANEZ, like it's written right there. I don't know if they can see that.
That one.
There you go. Diana YANEZ Show. Also, if you can't remember that, Latina Christmas Special. We are on Instagram. We're on Facebook too. There's a lot of stuff on Facebook. And we have a website. Oh, there. How sweet. Thank you so much. Thank you. And we have, all of the stuff. We Uber announce it. I'm constantly working on pieces that I present through Instagram. And it's probably the easiest way to find out what's going on. And I would love for everyone to hear our stories.
I want to see that Christmas show.
I do too.
Yeah.
There is. There we are at our.
Yeah, look at me. I'm just a pair of glasses. I'm just a
Go
pair
see
of
Over the
glasses.
Moon. Go rent it. Go download it.
I actually saw it. It's something like I was sitting here and it was like during the Halloween thing, and me and my friend, we just watch all these like little slasher movies and these bad shark movies. And I got home and I was like, oh my God, my brain, I'm going to become a psychotic killer. And I started like flipping through and I'm like, oh, this looks like a cute movie. And it was beautiful. And the next day I called her because her girlfriend like literally drove into town in 24 hours to surprise her. I'm like, you have to watch this movie. It's the cutest thing ever. And he enjoyed it. So yes, Over the Moon, watch it. It's
amazing. How sweet. Yeah, Over the Moon. Yes. Do watch Over the Moon. That,
Where is it on Netflix?
It doesn't get to me directly, but it helps this wonderful woman.
How long have you guys been married, by the way?
Sorry?
How long have you guys been married together?
Well, we've been together since 2007. We met while I was doing the Sensuous Woman show with Margaret Cho, and I thought I was hot stuff, and I wanted to sleep with everyone that I thought was attractive. And this special someone got me. She was like, no, I'm not interested. And I was like, wait a minute. Something about her. And we had dinner and I realized, oh my God, what a treasure. I can't mess with this. And that was the beginning of it. And then we've been married since 2018. So we took a good long time, but it's always been great.
It's nice to hear a happy lesbian story. And yeah. Jenny has one of her own too. So
I know. Oh my God, you guys, I'm sure I don't need to promote her, but Jenny McNulty, great comedian, great friend.
Fabulous.
Truly talented person.
Absolutely.
And thank you for introducing me. Thank you so much, Jenny McNulty. Oh, it's so wonderful. Isn't it? Oh, it's wonderful to be here.
Oh, thank you, darling. Mara, join in. We're all adopting your accent. Let's see if you switch. Can you do an American accent?
My American accent's really bad.
That's good.
That was good. Can you do it again?
I wish I could do it, but I really can't.
Oh, come on. That's perfect.
I'm a voice artist, can't do it. I can't do it.
Shut up. That was perfect.
That's great.
I had you pegged for Arizona. I was Arizonian.
Since we're on Netflix, can I do a shout out for my son?
Yes.
Yes.
Because my son has a series coming out next week. It's called We Are the Champions on Netflix. He produced and directed some of the episodes. And it's really fun shows. I've seen it. It's great. We Are the Champions.
Oh, what's it about?
It's on the 16th. Crazy competitions from around the world that you don't hear about, like cheese rolling and pepper eating, frog jumping. It's crazy and it's fun. It's narrated by the guy from The Office, Dwight.
Rain.
Rain.
What the fuck is his name?
Wilson.
Rainn Wilson.
Yes, Rainn Wilson.
Right.
No, it's very funny.
I actually wasn't sure, but it just rolled off the tongue. It just.
Jenny, I'm glad this is not an episode of Pandemic Password. And into that, Jenny, tell us about what's going on with you?
I am doing my my chat show Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 1 p.m. where I interview fun people and then we take a walk at the end and get some exercise in, just a little bit. It just make you feel good. And then on Mondays is Pandemic Password. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 1 is my talk show, and Monday at 4. Those are all Pacific times. Y'all got to do your own math after my Lagunitas Maximus. Can't do the math so much anymore. 1 and 4 are my shows.
And thank you. And Cheryl, what about you?
I'm actually doing an event tomorrow night online. That's where I am now. I'm on Zoom, and you can check out all my events on my website, mediumcheryl.com.
Thank you. And Mara, what are you up to besides getting skinny?
I'm working on a couple art projects right now. I'm a writer and an artist, and so you can find me on marashaneart.com. On Facebook, I'm Mara Shane Custom Designs. So yeah, just trying to finish a few art projects before the end of the year.
Thank you. Everyone out there, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back in 2 weeks. I have no idea who the guest will be because I always shoot from the hip last minute, or I ask Jenny to look through her Rolodex to help me. But in any event, thank you again. We are who we are because of you, for your support and for your listening and chiming in and following, QTE Brat, which is my Instagram, or following Between the Sheets podcast on Facebook. All these shows are up. The old ones, the new ones will be up on all the podcast aggregators. And of course, there's the YouTube channel Between the Sheets with Gaye Ann Bruno. I want to thank you, everybody. Have faith. This is the ticket. This is
hey, nice tits, baby.
Oh, I was trying to find a wife beater to show them, but they didn't have one. But
thanks to my home state of Michigan. Just saying.
Michigan. I mean, I'm from Jersey. They voted for. They're Biden people. So let's come together. Let's not even have any dispersions or any bullshit and go, oh, those fucking Trump people or whatever. You know what? Biden's in charge. Let's support him, and let's not be them, because we don't want to be the Bideners and they hate us. They have their own. Let's be the party. Let's unify, because that's what Biden and Kamala stress is, unity. So let's just support each other. Let's support them, and let's be kind, and let's have compassion. And that's the way this world needs to be. We live in the best place we really do. The United States is the best place in the whole world. So let's keep it that way. Eat vegan stuff. So we save the planet. Eat vegan stuff. That's a nod to Jenny. But I mean, seriously, let's save the planet, because we are all in it together. And if we screw it up, we screw it up for not only us, but everybody else in the future. So I love you guys. Be safe, be well. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you again, Deanna, and my girls. Thank you so much for joining us. Monday, hopefully before Monday, but Monday we'll have a president and a good one at that. So thank you guys. Be safe, be well, as I said, and namaste.
Namaste.
All right. Cue the music.